Hello learners, this is Pradeep Nayak here, CEO of Fuel Media Solutions Private Limited. I welcome you all to another exciting session of our industry, event management. Today I'm going to talk about event risk management. This session is in continuation with the already discussed topic, that is we have been talking about event risk management from the last two sessions. In my first session, we spoke about types of event risk, where we detailed out all the event risks that can prevail in the industry. Could be due to external reasons or could be due to internal, that is event operation related risk. And in our next session, we started speaking about the safety norms. So yes, of course, I identified the different types of risk, but we also had to talk about the solution. And we did start speaking about the solution, in which we covered a lot of points in terms of fire and safety, venue site plan, the site layout, and many other factors that we have to consider, including fee sponsorship, etc. So all the factors have been considered. We spoke about these things, how they can be averted, how they can be taken care in detail. There are a few safety norms which is yet to be finished, and these what I'm going to talk about today in this session in terms of the safety norms for our event risk are very, very important. This is something that I would urge all of you to follow on a regular event, day-to-day life in event industry. So allow me to share this presentation with you. So event management, event risk management, we're still in the part one where we are discussing different safety norms now. So continuing with the safety norms that we discussed in our previous session. Crowd management. So crowd management forms are the most important risk factor when we are doing events. The reason being it is the people who are attending the event, it's a third party who is involved here, and their lives are at risk, or their belongings are at risk. So crowd management is very, very important. It's not simply achieved by attempting control to the audience, but by trying to understand their behavior. So there are a lot more things that would factor in terms of crowd management. The first one is the character or acts of the artist or group. So now, based on the type of event that we do, is the type of risk management we can take care. For example, if I'm doing an event which is purely a classical performance, a Hindustani classical performance, or if it is a performance in terms of a tabla maestro who is performing, or it could be a violinist, or anything for that matter. An event which is purely classical Hindustani, that kind of performance, which is a sit-down event, it's or a sit-down concert where people are sitting and enjoying, where there is no alcohol served. The audience they are quite mature, are all elderly people who attend this event. So the way you manage that crowd is going to be totally different, and the class of the crowd is going to be totally different. So the way you plan your logistics around, like how they enter the place, the kind of seating that you offer, and all these things would differ, and the way you manage them, in the sense you really can't. Just giving you what I'm trying to make a statement here is that when we do a concert, which is a rock concert, with the kind of audience that we have, when we're doing a Hindustani local, vocal music, or a Hindustani Carnatic music kind of a concert, or when we are doing a pop show, the kind of anything, or when we're doing a concert with a big artist. So different concert will have different types of audience, and different crowd management things would be required. So based on artists or groups who are performing, and also how these artists interact with crowd will also matter. So there could be some artists who jump on the audience, so you have to be prepared for it. So you have to understand what is the kind of audience that you will have in the first few rows. That's why there is a demarcation, kind of VVIPs, VIPs. Normally, between a stage and the audience, we normally keep a distance of 20 to 30 feet. That's a basic that we have to follow. So that is what. So we'll have to define the kind of artist who's attending and doing the show, and based on that, we'll have to plan how do we manage the crowd. The audience profile, as I rightly mentioned in the previous statement, the profile. So when we have a Hindustani classical music, the kind of audience who attend to that. When we have a rock show, the kind of audience who attend to that. When we have a public show, it could be a Ganesh Utsav, or it could be anything, the kind of audience people who are attend. When we do Kumbh Mela or Ran Utsav, or the boat race, everything happens, or many Jallikattu, or anything of that kind of event happens, the kind of crowd or the audience profile, people who attend, and accordingly the arrangements have to be done, so that there should not be any mishap or any nuisance created for the other people who have come with the sole intention of enjoying the show. Probable crowd activities. So whenever we do public shows, we should always keep an eye that when it's an open show, when it's an open public event, we have to keep an eye. We have to have enough people in terms of security guards. We should anticipate based on the type of artists who are performing that what's the kind of crowd that we attract. Also, there could be some people, hooligans, which we also mentioned that they could just come to disrupt the event, or disrupting event might not be their priority, but disrupting the crowd and everything. So we have to have enough and more necessary measures that we have to take in terms of having the right security measures. For example, when we do a lot of concerts, so there is multiple levels of security that we induce, multiple levels of checking in terms of people carrying liquor, people carrying cigarettes, people carrying lighter, or any kind of objects which might prohibit or kind of create nuisance, or can be used to create nuisance. Such things are profiled even before they enter the venue. So that is then. So probable crowd activities. Also, in terms of a few events where we serve alcohol, or there could be anything abuse of drug that happens. So we have to take care of that completely, so that no such nuisance happen at the venue. Entry and exit of the audience, very very important, looking at the crowd. So if you have a lot of children, a lot of senior citizens attending the event, you have to ensure there is a good amount of exit and entry exit signages that have been done. There are enough, like for every category. When we do a concert, so there is a demarcation, there is bifurcation based on the levels of ticket that they buy, VIP, VVIP, everything. So every set of that area has to have a proper levels of exit and entry points, so that at times of any emergency, it is taken care well. Crowd, and also one more thing is in terms of entry exit is the we also have to, as I told, we have to consider senior citizens who might not be able to exit very quickly, or it could be people with disabilities. So we have to ensure there are enough ramps placed, so that there is a smooth flow of crowd from the venue to the car parking, or anywhere for that matter. And crowd pressure at the entrances, this happens in a lot of concerts or shows and everything, or a public event. So multiple levels of creating entries. So one place could be where you can buy tickets, one place could be, so how do you divide so much crowd coming together is have different levels of parking or different areas of parking, so that the crowd is divided there. There is no block or anything kind of a roadblock created there. Also create different counters, so that people who are paying by digital payment or somewhere else, people who are paying by card, create enough counters and enough and more manpower, so that it is a smooth functioning. Also, places for frisking and checking people also can be created in multiple locations, so that we avoid a stampede, we avoid overcrowding at the entrances. So all these things have to be taken care, or we can create multiple levels. So you can do the ticket checking one place, you can do the frisking another place, and so on. Admission policies, which normally is clearly mentioned on the tickets or the event details that has been provided much before the event. So nowadays, people, all the big shows or any event for that matter, we ensure that we put it up on our website or on the ticketing platform, that how, where the parking happens, if there is a parking or not, or how will people have to travel. Mostly at times we also tie up with the travel partners, could be Ola, Uber, or these people who will facilitate the travel management. So admission policies at the venue also we have to be very clear. Depends upon the type of event that we do. There are some events where children might not be allowed because of the kind of music or the levels of music that is played, or because of the kind of audience that who will be present there, or it could be senior citizens who might not be allowed. So we'll have to take care of that, or people who are pregnant might not be, because of the exposure to loud decibels of sound. Like in rock concert and all, they avoid such kind of admissions. So depending upon the kind of event that you do, you have to make it very, very clear in admission policy, so that tomorrow you don't have to, as an organizer or as an event manager, you don't put somebody else's life on risk based on this. Police involvement, of course, any event which is into a concert, public event, or any kind of event, as long as it is a conference or a business conference happening within a hotel premise or a five-star property, rest all the kind of events you will have to ensure you take police permission, you keep them informed. If there are some celebrities involved, some dignitaries involved, it ensure that proper security is deployed. Police are involved in each and every step in terms of informing them, so that any untoward incident that happens, they immediately come into action and they disperse. Or if it is a big event that we do in terms of public events, we ensure the police is already present there. Could be as simple as having some of a few constables and an inspector along with the jeep. And also, as I told, we have to ensure the ambulance, fire tender, all those things are already present there. So crowd management forms a very, very important aspect in terms of averting any kind of risk in the event. Next is food safety. So food safety in events is more about the kind of brands that you collaborate. You have to ensure that they follow all safety and hygiene measures. Or if it is a food festival that you're doing, you have to do the profiling of all the food partners who are participating there much before the event. Make sure you'll have your own safety manual that you can share it across all the food partners who are participating, in terms how they bring the food, how the storage is done, how they are preparing, or what are the hygiene measures the chef is following, what are the hygiene measures the people who are serving are going to follow, and how are going to storage of the food. All these things would matter. And also the quality of food that they carry. They should not carry any stale food or any meat or that for that matter. And if it is an event that is purely attended by people who are only vegetarians, then you have to make sure there is, or if it is an event where both veg and non-veg are there, but you have both kind of crowds coming, then you have to have a proper demarcation among veg and non-veg area, the cutleries that are going to be used, the way that it has been disposed, all these things has to be taken care by the food partners, but by the manual that as an event manager that you're going to create. And also tasting of the food and all those things. So tasting, I would say, can come to the second part. Yeah, food taste can be at times bland, but ensure that it's very hygiene and all the safety norms are followed in terms of serving the food. Drinking water safety and quality, one of the most important aspect of any event that we do. Nowadays what has happened is that we have started adapting a policy where we convince our clients, or most of our events that we produce, we try and avoid plastic bottles of water, because would it's just adding to the the amount of wastage that is already there in the world. So we try avoiding, plastic water bottles. So what we have done is that every event we brand, we give the attendees, the delegates, branded bottles, glass bottles, and we create a lot of refill stations across the venue. Again, the refill stations are all, again, it could be Bisleri, Baileys, or Kinley, reputed brands who have certain certification and accreditation to give safe drinking water. We ensure refilling stations are kept within the accessible limits so that people don't have to move much, and they refill that, so that we avoid. So there are a few events that we do which has around 5 to 10,000 people attending. Just imagine if every person saves 2 bottles of water. In an event itself, we save 20,000 plastic bottles. So imagine if thousands of events adapt to the same technology, what impact it can create. So this is something that we are looking, but every event you have to ensure that whether they are giving them bottles, or at least create refill stations, and then have some paper cup or recyclable options in terms of proper water consumption. Next, we're going to talk about alcohol and bar areas. Not many events have this option, so but yes, a few events where we have alcohol and consumption as a part of it. Could be some conferences, or could be some concerts in which someone has alcohol consumption. Ensure that proper licenses are taken. Could be a day license. If you're doing an event in a property which already has license, it will be a lot more easier. But you're doing an event in an open ground or in a secluded location where there is no license or something, ensure you speak to your local authorities. Ensure you speak to the excise department. Secure the permissions much earlier. Don't go or don't rush into a last minute thing. Nothing works last minute in India. Of course, I'm sure you all know that licenses or any kind of permissions last minute is more of a hassle. So what you have to do is you have to ensure that you apply all these things at least 3 to 4 weeks prior. If you're doing big shows where thousands of people are involved and crores and lakhs of money is involved, so ensure it is done much prior. I would say at least 1 month or 2 months prior. You make sure you take all the licenses. And in terms of serving, ensure you collaborate with good brands. All safety measures have been taken care. There are a lot of glasses that are going to be used. There are enough and more dustbins and everything created, so the glass or whatever the cutleries that has used are properly disposed, not creating any kind of nuisance. The alcohol or the bar areas are situated towards the in the event area. You have to bifurcate where it's going to be situated so that it won't create any kind of nuisance to the event performance. So all these things has to be taken care when you do. So a manual has to be done for that also. Sanitary facilities, very important whenever we are doing an event which is not in a properly constructed venue. like I'm talking about an exhibition center or a hotel. Normally they have all the thing within their building, but when you're doing it in open ground or something, you have to ensure that you have proper sanitary areas created. It has compost pit and everything is done. Today we have a mobile loos and everything for men, for women, and a proper hand wash areas. Everything can be created. Mobile toiletries are present. So, but ensure that it is covered well. It is covered well from all angles. It's covered from top. A proper bifurcation or demarcation has to be done, like men's toilet, women's toilet, and proper supply of water has to be done. You have to ensure that you have enough housekeeping staff present there, so that any refill of water or continuous cleaning of each and every toilet has been done every 1 hour. All these things has to be taken care. Signages, proper signages as to where the restrooms are situated, enough lighting so that there is no problem when you identify the location, and any kind of slippery surfaces, like if it is done outdoor, ensure that enough carpeting or matting is done so that people don't tend to slip, because it might rain at that location, anything can happen. So you have to take care of all these things. And it should be easy access also. You can't have complicated toiletries also. It should be something which people know. If required, you can put some instruction manual outside the toilet restrooms so that people know how to use the mobile toilets, all these things. So you can do that, have enough people in around so that they can help. If there is some senior citizens, if there is a ramp or something, if it is a wheelchair movement that has to happen, all these things has to be listed down and considered even before you do your sanitary facility planning in your site layout. Sanitary provision for people with special needs, which I already mentioned. You have to ensure that the toilets, mobile toilets, or anything that for that matter, which has been done, are friendly for disabled people also. There has to be access for wheelchair, or people with special needs can be able to access. So you have to ensure, if in case it's an outdoor location, not able to create that, then ensure that you have enough volunteers that will help these people to reach out to that location, and they are able to use those facilities. Sewage disposal and waste management, very, 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 very important. A lot of events, what happens is that we finish the event and everything is thrown away. And like, I'm not talking about ourselves, we don't do that. But a lot of outdoor events, like recently we saw in the news that one wedding at Himachal, and they finished the wedding and everything was just thrown at the river banks, and it created some ecological problems there. So we have to be very, very sensitive towards our nature also, whenever we do any kind of an event, not only nature, but to the surroundings, to the neighboring, or to the ecological things, that is, like, could be animals who are there who might eat on those food, and they get um, um, they might die because of that. So we have to take care of that. So proper disposal has to be taken care, whether it is wet waste or is it dry waste, whether it is glassware, whether it is cutlery, whether it is sanitary thing. All has to be separately done. Ensure you have more than enough team who take care of this. Proper disposal, when you're doing it in an outdoor location, proper composting has been done for all the sewage requirement, all the waste, which is in terms of food, in terms of plastic, or anything for that matter, is no segregated and disposed completely. You hire a team which takes care of waste management. They ensure that it is collected on a daily basis or an hourly basis, so that there is no smell or anything that emits out of these places. And at the same time, you can also look at as to how it can be taken care and experienced better. Ensure you have more recyclable products that has been used, so that the wastage is also minimal. So these are the things also to be taken care in an event. Sound, noise, and vibration. So whenever you do events in the city limits, whenever you're doing an event which has a lot of people around the neighbor, could be offices, could be apartments, could be residences, could be temple, or could be anything. There is a certain levels of sound that you have to take care of it. So you ensure that you have good sound safety engineers who are participating in your event. All the sound checks are done much before the event. You check the sound decibels and ensure that it is not much, that it is not creating any kind of nuisance to the neighbors. And at the same time, the sound engineer also has to plan the sound stack in such a way that like if you have 1000 people or 10,000 people, the first row people should get sound in a certain way, to a certain decibel, and the last row people also should get in a certain decibel. It should not be that we have put up a speaker and the sound is like, I've ensured that it reaches out to 10,000 people, but the people in the first row, it is too noisy for them. They might develop some hearing impairment or problems. So you have to ensure that you have proper sound engineers who plan the sound waves in sound thing in such a way that it's an equal distribution of sound from the first row to the last row. So those things are also equally important, and also you have to ensure that it doesn't create any kind of nuisance to the neighbors or the surroundings. Coverage and projection. So many event organizers tie up with the PR media house, or they take media partners, could be like any publishing house, or no, an electronic media, could be a TV channel or something. You have to be very clear about the information about the event. You have to put it each and every point in the paper, and ensure the proper media coverage is done and the way the event is projected. Sometimes if it is not done well, things what it might go as a negative publicity for the event. So it is very, very important that you cover that risk through making sure that all the points are covered much before the event, and you also have a proper objective as to what is the how you're going to project the event, what is the audience that you're going to project. Last but not the least, very, very important. This is something that we have started adopting for more than 7 years now. Way back in one of the IPs that we launched in 2013. Since then, we have been very, very strongly following event insurance. Any event that is done as in terms of an IP or a public event, we ensure the insurance is a must. Any kind of concert or a show that we do, we as a company, we as Fuel India, we as Fuel Media Solutions, privately limited, ensure that the event is insured. There are different aspects. What is insurance? So event insurance helps the event organizer to minimize the risk of financial loss due to natural and man-made risk. So see, what happens is that whenever we do a risk, if it is a public event, we plan something 6 months, 8 months, 12 months ahead, and there's a lot of money invested. Now we don't know what is going to happen after 6 months. We don't know actually what is going to happen tomorrow. So forget about predicting something that's going to happen after 6 or 8 months. So we have to be well prepared. So there could be event risk that is not in our hand, which we discussed. Could be disasters like a tsunami or earthquake or anything for that matter happens, or it could be any terrorist attack that happens, or it could be any political thing that happens, which is completely not in our control. So due to that reasons, if an event gets cancelled, or if an event gets damaged, so there will be enough and more insurance cover so that you are not financially hit, because few events are worth crores. So you might have to, like for example, if an event gets cancelled much before the schedule, you might have to refund to the ticket buyers. As depends upon the policy that you have in ticket policy. So you have to have enough and more money to refund that also. So the event insurance will cover that. Any disaster that happens damages the entire venue structure, anything, that time also the event insurance will cover the amount of damage. Could be the sound system, could be the LEDs, could be the stage, could be anything. The third thing which the event insurance would also cover is the people. So even in an event, or God forbid, anything goes wrong, people are hurt, people are, there is a loss of life that happens. Then in terms of compensation, also insurance would come into picture, offering enough and more compensation as per our prescribed value that we do at the time of insurance is given to the beneficiaries of the people who have lost life, or people who got hurt. So all these things or their hospital expenses are taken care of. So insurance is a primary thing which is very, very compulsory when you're doing shows or when you're doing any event where public life is involved, in terms of safeguarding your financial exposure, in kind of safeguarding the equipment that is used in the event or the structures, in the case of safeguarding the people who attend the event. So in all, insurance is a must, which I very, very strongly recommend. There are a lot of event insurance companies, could be Bajaj Alliance, could be United India Insurance, Oriental, and many more. All these people who are there are people who will help you in taking insurances. So we can look at that, and that is very, very important. I'm sure as you go further, you'll be able to explore more. Last but not the least, before closing in on the part one of risk management, I will also like to talk about risk management policy. So risk management policy, as I mentioned, in every sector, could be the fire and safety, could be the food safety, could be the insurance, could be the sanitization or the sewage that is going to happen, or could be the site value, everything. So risk management policy is something which is kind of not compulsory yet, but it is something that we as an organization have made it compulsory, or a lot of organizations follow. So you have to have a certain policy drafted in terms of every aspect of performances, could be in terms of finance, could be in terms of operations and everything, so that we, or could be in the venue thing. So based on the event organization, a comprehensive risk management manual, I would suggest, should be developed, so that every department follows it by default, and any such instances can be averted by having this manual in hand. So With this, we come to an end of the part one of risk management. I hope this part one, which is 3 sessions where we spoke about types of event risk, then we started speaking about safety norms. We covered a lot of aspects under safety norms, and today I end this part one with the safety norms. All the points have been covered. This is something as an event manager, other than the daily events that we do, how to do event, how technically, how creatively we do this event. That is, yes, that is a part of our learning. But how to avert any kind of risk that happens, and how to. So that's why if you see, for the other topics we did dedicate some time, but for this I've dedicated more and more time. The reason being, I want this to be a part and parcel of every event manager when they do, is to take care of risk. So risk management is also very, very important in the event management. So thank you all. I hope you this session opens up to a lot more ideas for you. Look up on Google, look up on YouTube. You get more information on this, and as you start working, equip yourself with more information. So one last thing before I end here is that how we upgrade our technology every month, every year. In a similar way, the risk management policies also have to be upgraded. You will have to keep yourself updated on the latest risk management policies that are there in the industry, or different vendors, or the different sectors that follow. Keep yourself updated, stay safe, and have a good day. Thank you all.